Take off from stand still, trash them like a landfill, skep just like a Fed deal. Bitch, I took the red pill. I've been woke so long, I barely close my eyes. I've been real so long, I rarely miss the lies. Thankful I ain't have to take the oath to get the light. Always been the truth, that's why I speak it on the mic. Try to make me choose a guide, so I chose myself. Made us in the image, so I sit up on the shelf. Happiness and love over life of lust and wealth. Manifest whatever with the power within self. I'm rough around the edges, a dimensional warrior. Take a trip around the cosmos, catch a glimpse of Lemuria. Need to do some research if you feel like I'm boring ya. I'm just trying to let you know it's a little bit more to you. A little bit more to you. Little bit more. I'm rough around the edges, a dimensional warrior. Take a trip around the cosmos, catch a glimpse of Lemuria. Need to do some research if you feel like I'm boring ya. I'm just trying to let you know that's just a little bit more to you.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a cosmology that is, well, really out there. It's a story that doesn't come from telescopes or textbooks, but from channeled messages, supposedly from entities beyond our world. And it's a version of reality that's going to challenge just about everything you think you know.
Okay, so to get our heads around this, we're going to break this whole thing down into 5 parts. We'll start with who these cosmic messengers are, then get into the war they say is being fought for our minds, and we'll follow that thread all the way to what they call humanity's final choice.
All right, first up, where is all this information actually coming from? Let's talk about the practice of channeling and the beings who are supposedly on the other end of the line. So, the foundation of this entire belief system is something called channeling. The idea is that a person, who they call an instrument, basically becomes a conduit. They go into a trance, and these non-physical beings speak directly through them. Everything we're going to look at today is presented as a transcript from these sessions.
And here's the supposed cast of characters who are doing the communicating. You've got beings like R, described as a 6th-density social memory complex, which is a fancy way of saying a highly evolved group consciousness. Then there are groups like the Galactic Federation, guides from the Pleiades star system, and even, get this, historical figures like Nikola Tesla, who apparently drops in to share some secrets.
So now that we know who's supposedly talking, what are they talking about? Well, they're not just sharing pleasantries. They're describing a universe locked in a massive, ancient conflict.
And this slide really breaks down that central struggle. According to the texts, it's not a war for planets or resources, but for consciousness itself. You've got the forces of light on one side, all about love and free will, and on the other, the forces of darkness, who are all about control and what they call service to self, basically a me-first philosophy that feeds on negative energy.
And here's the kicker. Our little corner of the galaxy is apparently a major front line in this spiritual war. The source material talks about actual conflicts happening on Mars and the Moon, with Earth's own energy grid being a huge strategic prize.
So if there's this giant cosmic war raging, it kind of makes sense that our official history books might be missing a few key chapters. And that's exactly what these texts claim.
Now, this timeline gives you a taste of some of the really wild claims. It says that almost 500,000 years ago, beings from Mars created the first humans, that Atlantis was real and was destroyed in a war, and it even alleges that a secret deal was made in 1972 to stop manned moon missions for 50 years.
And all this leads to one of the most shocking claims of all, and it's about that big bright thing we see in the sky almost every night, the moon itself. The answer, according to these channeled messages, is pretty stunning. The moon, they claim, is an artificial construct. It's a giant, hollow battle station that was brought here eons ago by those negative forces from Orion to help them control our little part of the solar system.
And if a hollow moon wasn't strange enough, they claim that deep inside of it, there's a piece of Orion text they call a soul recycler machine. It's described as a spiritual trap designed to catch souls after they die and basically force them to reincarnate right back here on Earth over and over, preventing them from evolving to a higher state of being.
So, according to the text, the choice is presented really clearly the moment you die. A soul sees 2 white lights. One leads toward the moon, that's the trap. The other comes from the sun, and that's presented as the real path to freedom and ascension. Okay, so a cosmic war, a secret history, a soul recycling moon. It's a lot, I know. But the texts don't just lay out the problems. They also offer a specific spiritual path for humanity to get out of this mess.
The key practice they talk about is something called inner work. The whole idea is that the most powerful thing you can do isn't changing the world outside, but changing your world inside. It's all about cultivating and radiating love, just because.
According to these texts, that internal shift is actually the most powerful force for positive change there is. The source also brings in a message from a very familiar name, Nikola Tesla, who supposedly says these 3 numbers are the key to unlocking a higher reality. So according to this channeled message, 3, 6, and 9 aren't just numbers. They're a kind of code that represents a vortex, a gateway to higher dimensions. It's even claimed that the builders of the Great Pyramids knew this and used that knowledge to observe the Orion forces.
And the texts don't just stick to high-level theory. They give you practical exercises too. This one's from Archangel Michael, and it's a meditation to balance the throat chakra. The technique is surprisingly simple. You just sit quietly and count your own internal thoughts. The idea is that just by observing them, you quiet the mind and open up a path to higher awareness.
So ultimately, all of this information, the cosmic war, the hidden history, the spiritual path, it all comes to a head. It builds towards one final critical choice that every single person on Earth has to make.
So the source basically frames our whole life as a test, centered around free will. The idea is we're born under a veil of forgetting, so we have no memory of our past lives. This way, we can make a truly free choice between 2 paths: service to others, which is the path of love and unity, or service to self, the path of ego and control.
And this is where that big cosmic conflict comes right into our daily lives. The texts claim that some modern technologies, like 5G networks and the metaverse, aren't neutral. They're allegedly designed with help from negative ETs to trap our consciousness and subtly push us toward that service to self path. But this quote, again from Archangel Michael, really brings home the core message. Despite all these cosmic forces and grand dramas, the ultimate responsibility for your path, for your reality, it all comes back to you.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer. We've gone on quite a journey through this channeled cosmology, a story that keeps calling our world a grand illusion, a stage for a cosmic choice. And that leaves us with one final, pretty mind-blowing question. If our reality is an illusion, is it the only one we've got?